This is Casting Actors Cast, the podcast for actors with a passion. Hosted by me, Jeffrey Dreisbach, casting director, teacher, and author. Whether you're in the spotlight or behind the scenes, this is your place to be informed, inspired, and creatively charged. And today, we're going to be talking about what to do when you're not working and you don't have the funds for classes or coaching. Let's turn those dry spells into creative wells. You see what I did just there? Let's go.
Casting actors, cast a what a show. With Jeffrey Dreisbach, we're ready to go. From agents to gigs, learn what you lack. Tune in every week, we're bringing you back.
We're going to kick off the show right after this. Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of Casting Actors Cast. As I said in the opening, this is Jeffrey Dreisbach. I'm a casting partner with McCorkle Casting in New York. I hope you're having a good day. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being there for that special event that took place last week. I am so grateful that the event turned out to be a complete success. There were so many friends and colleagues and students that I had worked with. It just made me feel so great. And I really feel, and I know this might be a little misplaced, but I feel like they all got something out of it as well. So it was a fun experience had by all, and hopefully we'll have some future events like that. But again, my sincere thanks. Hey, listen, if you haven't done so already, check out the website, Casting Actors Cast, alloneword.com. You're going to find all kinds of information. One is Jeff's Jots, which are actually show notes for each of the corresponding episodes. I think you might find that useful. There's also information about getting my book. Yeah, it's called Booked It, the Actor's Playbook to Getting Cast. I think you might find that kind of valuable. Also, there's a form that says dive into the talent pool. And if you do that, it's going to open up some freebies for you, a video and a free book. So there's a lot going on. But most importantly, this subject is something that I've been wanting to do for such a long time because we talk a lot about the ups and downs, but let's talk about it with a scenario. And our scenario here is what we call the in-between blues. So here's the truth. Every actor, no matter how successful, goes through, it's what I like to call the in-between. It's that kind of awkward stretch of time when you're not on set or you're not auditioning and you're not sure when or if the next opportunity will come. And you know what? I know that's really hard. I certainly know that when I was an actor. I've been casting for 15 years, but boy, do I remember my acting days, how challenging those were, especially when you're watching your peers book jobs or you're scrolling through casting sites that you don't think there's anything for you. There's nothing available for you. That's a terrible feeling. And worse, maybe your bank account is saying no to classes and maybe workshops or, you know what, even just a night out sometimes. So now you're not acting. Now you're not training and definitely not feeling creatively fulfilled. Does that sound familiar? Listen, if so, I want you to know that you are not alone. What we need to do is think about shifting the narrative. And so here's something I want you to try. Shift the story. Instead of thinking, I'm not doing anything, reframe it to, I am in my creative incubation phase. Okay, does that sound cheesy? Okay, maybe. But you know what? Honestly, it's powerful. It is. When you shift how you see this time from a dead space to a productive pause, you start to regain control. You're not waiting. You're preparing. You're growing. And here's the best part. You don't need money to do that. All you need is a mindset commitment, and just a little structure. That's all. Really. So let's talk about some free ways to fill that creative cup. So what can you do that costs nothing and feeds your artist soul? See, listen, I've got a whole menu of options for you, so let's dig in. Number one, easy peasy. Read plays, read scripts, read monologues. And there are other internet sites that are full of royalty-free plays. Also, your local library is a gold mine. Pick a character, break it down, and perform it like just do it for yourself. Even better, record it as a self-tape and watch it back. When you watch yourself back on a self-tape, don't be critical. Observe areas in which you could take more risks. Could you have taken some additional chances? Playing that what if game. What if my character, ... fill in the blank. See, that becomes your scene study class right there. Right there. You don't have to pay for that. That's something that you can create for yourself. And I know it's hard, but once you start, just that little bit of structure can have a huge impact on you feeling better about yourself. And guess what? That energy also goes, I believe this to be true, goes out into the universe. I'm not trying to get weird or woo-woo or whatever, but there is something to be said about manifesting your future by having the right mindset now. Oh, here's another thing that I suggest actors do all the time, and I suspect that there are blocks or reasons that actors choose not to do this. But I would love for you to consider to journal in character. How do you do that? So pick a role from a show or a film, something maybe that you've read, and I want you to spend 15 minutes writing in a journal, making a journal entry as that character. Sound interesting? My gosh, it is. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What happened before the scene? What do they want? See, to me, this builds empathy. It gives you a backstory skill set that you might not have had otherwise. And it actually is part of keying into that creative voice of yours. Here's another suggestion. Create a 1-minute scene. Think about it. Write a scene. Just 1 minute, and then perform it or film it on your phone. Challenge yourself to do 1 a week. No one else even has to see it. Oh, well, of course, unless you want them to, if you really like it. You know, maybe your weird Uncle Joe would love to see you acting. I think that's a great idea. See, the value of that is just really clear, right? I don't have to spell that out for you, how that makes you feel connected, that how that makes that creative part of you infuse energy into something outside of yourself, yet inside at the same time. I hope that makes sense. It sounds kind of weird, but I think you get what I'm talking about. I think that there's also something to be said about the free online learning that you can take advantage of. See, YouTube just isn't about cat videos. There are great acting coaches and voice specialists, and there are casting directors offering free insights like, oh, hey, Casting Actors Cast. We're free. See, I think you should make it your mission to watch 1 video a day with a journal nearby for taking notes, for takeaways. Now, I alluded to this earlier, but I think there's value in sharing it a little more in depth, and that is self-tape challenge. Why don't you set up a mock audition? I want you to pick a scene, set a deadline, and then tape it, and then review it. Maybe you could even consider sending it to a friend for feedback. This builds your self-tape game and really keeps your investment really, really sharp. This is also the time where you can perfect some of those self-tape issues that you might have had in the past, but were unable to correct them because there was a tremendous amount of pressure on you. Now is the time to perfect that. I feel very strongly that once the actor has a default setting for their self-tape environment, they can spend more energy and more time on the most important thing, which is how you're going to play the part. That's why that can be extremely useful. Having a really confident sense about what your self-tape product looks like when you send it is absolutely invaluable. We're going to continue the conversation right after this. All right, moving on from there. I want you to simply take a walk and observe. I want you to take a walk with your actor eyes on. I want you to watch people. Listen to conversations. Of course, you want to be kind of discreet about that. You don't want to be weird, or please don't do that. Please don't say, Jeff told me to. So, what I'm thinking is just observing people is so interesting, and really taking a look and asking the questions, how do people move when they're upset? How do people move when they're joyful or distracted? I know it might seem a little corny, but this kind of observation, actually, honestly, that's training. You see, you're feeding your actor database. You are. Moving on from there, I think there's something very noble and inspiring when I see volunteers. And you could consider volunteering in theater or even in an arts organization. Some theaters, they offer comp tickets or industry nights to volunteers who participate. It's also a great way to meet people and stay engaged. Just offering your services as an actor to young people, for example, something to consider. Here's another suggestion I'm making in terms of, free. Take advantage of the time period so that you can continue to feel like you're growing, and that is to meditate, do breath work. It's absolutely true that creativity thrives in calm. 10 minutes a day of stillness can help you reduce anxiety and open you up to new ideas. Trust me, your auditions will thank you. Another big one? I want you to consider connecting with your actor community. Even if you're broke, you can't buy into a class, you can still build a tribe. Consider starting a weekly Zoom cold reading group. Share scene work. Talk shop. There's also something to be said about accountability partners. You make a huge impact on yourself when your motivation is low to have an accountability partner. That's somebody who is in a like-minded situation externally and internally. Maybe somebody who's very much like you. Maybe they have similar goals and ambitions. That you check in with each other to make sure some of those goals that you're setting for yourself are being met. Now, listen, you don't have to do this alone is the point. The actor's path oftentimes feels very solo, but I can tell you that it's a team sport in disguise. It really is. And connecting with another person in a like-minded state, that accountability partner, is such an amazing idea, I think. Moving on from there, every time you read something, I want you to record what you read. I want you to observe, make some observations about what you read. I want you to write, or you could reflect. You're investing every time that happens. When you make a notation of what you experienced, you are filling the vessel with interesting thoughts, and you're filling the vessel with motivational criteria that you, I promise, will use later on down the road. It's not going to be an investment in dollars, but in discipline. And guess what? When the opportunity does come, and it will, you will be ready, right? You won't be rusty. You won't be bitter or out of shape. You'll be charged up with creative electricity because you kept the spark alive. See, I want you to know that your value as an actor doesn't change based on your booking status. Okay, somebody write that down. That was really good. Your worth is not determined by how much you can spend or how busy your calendar looks. I promise, you are enough right now. And I will add this, everything you do in the in-between builds the foundation for what's next. Hey, Listen, if this episode gave you a little boost today, would you mind sharing it with a fellow actor who might need it too? And please don't forget to subscribe. Leave a review or check out the website at castingactorscast.com for more tools, resources, and a whole lot of love for your acting journey. Until next time, this is Jeffrey Dreisbach reminding you to keep creating, keep growing, and keep showing up because you've got this. Thanks.
It's been great having you in our talent pool today. Your support means the world to us, so please consider sharing, liking, and reviewing this episode wherever you jump in. I'm Megan Grace Martinez. Thanks.
From monologues to screen